We recently had North Sydney Bears former president Mike Gibbons on the show, who was pretty happy to see Manly going as badly as they are. Well, all these Christmases have come at once because Manly are probably in a worse spot than what they were when he came on. William, Manly are in all sorts of trouble at the moment. No crowds, no coach. The players are all backing Barrett. Where does it go from here?
It's an absolute joke at the moment. I don't understand what's going on there. I mean, I spent my last year there in 2015, so I understand where a lot of the backlash is coming from, saying they're unorganised, the players don't have the right facilities, everything like that, because, you know, back then we were getting changed out of our cars, out of our boots. It was pretty unprofessional, but I know they've got their shit together now. They're in another part of Narrabeen, but obviously the big questions are, it's like, where's the crowds? You know, the Penn family has come out. The players have backed Barrett, so it's like where do the players stand? Where does the board stand? Where does the coach stand? It's just like it's a shit fight. I'd hate to be a part of the club at the moment. They've got some great kids there, and it's a very proud club, but it's in shambles at the moment. It's just like I feel sorry for all the players, and you know, just little things like that on the weekend, leading 22-6 and end up getting beat by the Titans. Just shit like that just doesn't stop. When you're having them sort of years, it just does not stop. So
I think one of the things that Mike was talking about was that Manly essentially are a financial basket case. If it wasn't for one specific family ploughing money into that club, then they would most likely not have the funds to be able to survive as an NRL club. Now, looking at today, where those particular owners have had stones being thrown at them by the coach, saying he doesn't have the resources. Now the players are coming out and basically saying the same thing. If you're the owner, at some point you've got to turn around and go, I'm trying my best. I'm throwing a heap of money at this club. Does he walk?
I'm not sure whether he's throwing the money at the right places in the club, because they are still working out of demountables, you know, like a professional club like Manly, and you compare them to other clubs, it's just chalk and cheese.
Well, you've played at every club. So.
Well, I know every other club, so I know Manly as well. So it's just, I don't know where his money is going or what's going on with it, because I know that he personally doesn't pay players. So like with the resources and everything what Baz is talking about and the players, they're spot on. Like only 3 years ago, you're getting changed out of your fucking boot.
Yeah.
Like it's ridiculous. And they've only got their shit together now because Trent Barrett just kicked up a stink and said, we need lockers, we need this. There was no lockers, there was no nothing there 3 years ago. But the only difference was because they were winning pretty much from 2004 to 2015, they were making the semi-finals, they were winning premierships. So they thought, well, if it's not broken, don't fix it, you know, like, so I think they had that problem, but now it's broken.
Yeah.
Fix it. So players need these resources, you know, just little things like your locker room, you know, your own weights. We had to share weights with the Australian touch team and union and all these. There's about 4 or 5 fucking clubs in there. It's like, you need your own stuff when you're a professional outfit like Manly, Newcastle, any NRL club. So it's a long time coming. It's only reason why I got swept under the table is because they were winning premierships.
So if you look at, he reckons, I mean, he's probably on the public record, but that family has sunk about $10 million into the Manly club. Now, as you say, I don't know where that money's going, but if they're putting that sort of money in and things haven't improved, where does it go?
I don't know. I honestly don't know where the money's going. If they're saying that he's put $10 million in, as I said, he's not paying salaries.
Yeah.
You know, so is he putting it into Brookvale? No, Brookvale's a shithole.
Yeah.
And they're not putting the crowds in. They're not putting, merchandise, all this sort of stuff. They're behind the 8 ball on everything compared to other clubs.
The crowds is an interesting one because on the weekend there was a semi-final in the Shute Shield, which is the first grade rugby union, and the crowd for Manly Warringah far outweighed what the Sea Eagles got at their home ground. So
it's embarrassing.
The Sea Eagles fans are obviously losing hope with this. Mike Gibbons was pretty strong that Manly wasn't going to be able to survive and that a team would need to go to the Central Coast, the only way. Yeah. Do you think Manly will relocate to the Central Coast? Do you think that's a viable option?
Well, he was pretty strong on what he said, Mike. He's obviously the ex-president of the Bears and he's very strong. His heart is North Sydney Bears. He wants North Sydney back in the competition, which a lot of old supporters do, just like South Sydney when they were out of the comp. They kicked up a massive stink and they got back in. I think North Sydney need to do something similar. Well, this could be the catalyst to get the North Sydney Bears back in. You know, everybody loves to stick the boot into Manly, especially when they're going bad, and especially now financially, they're going bad. The crowds are bad. Everything is just going really bad for Manly at the moment. And this could be the chance for North Sydney Bears to come walking in and then pretty much get a team on the Central Coast, whether they join together again like the Northern Eagles, which was a fucking shit fight, which will not happen. But there is a spot for North Sydney Bears in this competition, and it belongs on the Central Coast.
The Central Coast Bears. I mean, I think
that's our heartland. It's our heartland. I mean, like the AFL have taken everything else up, and they're trying to take us on everywhere. But the Central Coast is rugby league.
Yeah,
they got the Central Coast Mariners there. They got Usain Bolt there. He's trying to save goals, but that's rugby league heartland. They're all the way to Newcastle, all the way up the coast. So something should happen very soon. You know, if North Sydney fans want to get out there and support their club and try and get them back into the comp, now would be the perfect time.
Well, if the Penn family decide they've had enough, and I mean, at some point things might change. The Penn family's business might not be going as well. They might get jack of all the criticism they're starting to cop now. If that happens, the NRL, one of two things would have to happen. The NRL would have to come in and take over the same way they did with the Titans, and I don't think they're going to want to do that.
I think, honestly...
relocation.
Well, I just think, at the end of the day, the Penn family is going to have enough of Manly, enough tipping money in. And if the NRL come in and go, you know what, Manly, you need to relocate, something is going to have to happen. I reckon the Penn family might pull everything out, then they're going to have no leg to stand on. And if they go, we want to make it a national rugby league instead of the East Coast of Australia and New Zealand, we want a team in Perth, which we're getting the right numbers for, Manly would be the prime candidate for that, simply because...
The only Sydney Tide that is struggling from a financial, the crowd figures at Manly are atrocious.
They're diabolical compared, I mean, you know, looking at Brookie on a Sunday, remember playing there and playing against them, you know, they pack it out like 18,000, like West Tigers are still doing now. They're packing that joint out 18,000. It's one of them old grounds that you love playing at, and you hate playing against them there. But like, I mean, it's going to be bad news for Manly, because I think what's going to happen is if the NRL really wants to expand the game but not add on to the teams, they're going to have to relocate. Some Sydney team's going to have to relocate to Perth.
Do you think, so they're talking now with Barrett going, there's a bit of a movement. I think it's more fan-based than anything else to bring back Tuvey. Now, he coached you when you were at your year at that club. Is that a backward step? Also, would Jeff Tuvey want to go back to the joint after the way they treated him?
I don't think Tuvey will go back. I mean, I know he loves coaching, and you know, Manly is right in his heart, but you know, I'm not sure what's going to happen with the coaching there with Baz. I mean, like, it's weird. It's a weird situation, but it's good for Baz because he's got the players backing, which is the main thing. But you know, the Penn family, they rule that whole thing. They can just go, right, Baz, piss off. You're done. Yeah. You've had your chance. You've missed the finals for the last 2 years. That club is used to making the finals. You got the right roster there. So something's happening. No one's really answering to anyone.
Well, the old saying is that a fish rots from the head down, and I think it's fairly safe to say that Manly's going through that at the moment.
Yeah, it's awful.